Success is not a mystery. It is biology meeting intention. When we speak about balance between body and mind, we are not speaking about two separate entities. They are one system. The state of your physiology drives the quality of your psychology. When your body is aligned, nourished, and tuned, your mind sharpens. When your mind is focused and calm, your body follows with precision. Every morning, the light you expose your eyes to sets the rhythm for your brain and body. This is not philosophy. This is neurobiology. The nervous system operates on patterns, and when you align with them through consistent sleep, through deliberate exposure to natural light, through daily movement, you are instructing your brain to perform at its highest potential. Stress will come, and it should. Stress is not the enemy. It is the sculptor. What matters is not the presence of stress, but your ability to regulate it, to shift from states of intensity into states of deep recovery. That is the mark of resilience. The mind expands when it knows how to focus, and it strengthens when it knows how to let go. Breath is the lever you hold in every moment. Fast, deliberate inhales, followed by extended exhales, calm your nervous system, lower your heart rate, and return you to clarity and return to. With each breath, you hold the power to transform agitation into presence, confusion into control. Where you place your attention is the path you will walk. Attention is the currency of your life. If you scatter it, your results will be scattered. If you direct it with intention, your results will align with that intention. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows where attention rests. And so rest is not weakness. Recovery is not optional. Stillness is not wasting time. These are the very sources of performance, of creativity, of endurance. To neglect them is to burn bright and fade fast. To honor them is to sustain success with vitality. Ultimately, balance is not about moderation. It is about integration. When the body is disciplined and the mind is focused, you enter a state where hard work feels effortless and discipline feels like freedom. In that state, success is not forced. It is inevitable. You already have within you the mechanisms for ultimate success: your body, your mind, your breath, your attention. Align them, balance them, master them, and you will become unstoppable. Physiology drives psychology because the state of the body creates the foundation upon which the mind operates. Every thought, every decision, every emotion you experience is filtered through the condition of your nervous system, your hormones, your energy levels, and the health of your body. Omana for NLT. The brain does not work in isolation from the body. It is an organ deeply embedded within the body's systems, and it responds to signals it receives moment by moment. When your physiology is stable, nourished, and balanced, your psychology reflects clarity, focus, and resilience. But when your physiology is disrupted through lack of sleep, poor nutrition, chronic stress, or inactivity, the mind struggles with fog, irritability, and distraction. One of the most powerful examples of this principle is sleep. The quality of your sleep shapes the chemistry of your brain. For a single night of poor sleep alters the levels of dopamine and serotonin, disrupts memory consolidation, and impairs emotional regulation. You may feel anxious or unfocused, but that is not simply a matter of mindset. It is the result of disrupted physiology. Conversely, deep restorative sleep enhances neuroplasticity, sharpens focus, and elevates mood. The mind is literally built upon the rhythms of the body. Breathing patterns are another clear demonstration of this truth. Rapid, shallow breathing signals the body to release stress hormones, elevates heart rate, and primes the nervous system for fight or flight. That state then shapes your psychology. You feel anxious, impatient, or reactive. But by shifting your breathing consciously, taking deliberate deep inhales followed by extended exhales, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This slows the heart rate, lowers cortisol, and brings about a state of calm. In that physiological shift, the mind finds clarity and steadiness. The change in psychology follows directly from the change in physiology. Nutrition, too, plays a profound role. The gut produces neurotransmitters that influence mood, energy, and cognition. When the body is fueled with whole, nutrient-rich foods, blood sugar remains stable, inflammation decreases, and the brain receives steady energy. That stability translates into focus, patience, and emotional balance. But when physiology is disrupted by processed foods or irregular eating patterns, blood sugar spikes and crashes can mimic emotional instability, making it harder to stay disciplined or positive. What often feels like a psychological struggle may simply be the body calling for balance. Movement and exercise also reveal how physiology governs psychology. When you move your body, endorphins are released, blood flow to the brain increases, and neural connections strengthen. Exercise literally changes brain chemistry to elevate mood and improve resilience against stress. The sense of motivation and empowerment people feel after a workout is not a trick of the mind. It is the biology of the body setting the stage for a stronger psychology. In every domain, the truth is clear. Your thoughts, emotions, and mindset are not detached from the body, but are direct reflections of its state. Physiology drives psychology. And to master the mind, you must first master the body. Rhythms create resilience because the human body and mind are designed to operate in cycles. Every organ, every cell, every process in the nervous system follows patterns that align with time. When these rhythms are honored and reinforced, the system grows stronger, more adaptive, and more resistant to stress. When they are neglected or disrupted, fatigue, confusion, and vulnerability take their place. The daily cycles of sleep and wakefulness, the patterns of feeding and fasting, the rise and fall of energy, all shape how well the body and brain can handle pressure and recover from it. Resilience is not built in a single moment of strength, but through the consistent repetition of aligned rhythms. The circadian rhythm is one of the most profound examples of how timing governs resilience. Light entering the eyes in the morning triggers signals to the brain that set the body's internal clock. Cortisol rises naturally to promote alertness, and the body gears itself toward activity and focus. In the evening, the absence of bright light cues the release of melatonin, lowering body temperature and preparing for rest. These predictable cycles of wakefulness and sleep allow the brain to restore, consolidate memory, and reset emotional balance. When this rhythm is consistent, the nervous system becomes more adaptable under stress and recovery is faster. But when sleep is erratic or light exposure is misaligned, the body loses its anchor, making it harder to regulate mood, energy, and performance. Food rhythms also shape resilience. The timing of when you eat influences energy, hormone release, and even cognitive clarity. Regularity in meals stabilizes blood sugar and supports metabolic health, while erratic eating confuses the body's internal systems, making stress harder to manage. Periods of fasting or spacing between meals allow cellular repair mechanisms to activate, building long-term resilience against illness and fatigue. When feeding and fasting follow a predictable cycle, the body learns efficiency and strength, and the mind benefits from sustained energy and sharper focus. Movement follows rhythms as well. The body thrives on daily patterns of physical activity, whether intense exertion or simple mobility. Consistent exercise trains not only the muscles, but also the nervous system, teaching it to transition smoothly between effort and recovery. Just as a heartbeat oscillates between contraction and relaxation, resilience emerges when the body can rise to challenge and then return to calm. Rhythmic training, repeated across days, weeks, and years, builds durability far greater than sporadic bursts of intensity. Even stress itself has a rhythm. A life without stress leaves the system weak, while constant stress without recovery leaves it, broken. The balance between high states of focus and deep states of rest teaches the brain and body adaptability. These oscillations mirror the natural flow of life, and when respected, they create a foundation that can withstand change and adversity. Resilience is not an accident. It is the product of living in harmony with cycles, light and dark, work and rest, stress and recovery. To align with these rhythms is to harness the biological truth that consistency builds strength. And from that strength comes the ability to endure, adapt, and thrive. Stress is a tool, not an enemy, because it is the body's natural way of mobilizing energy and sharpening focus in the face of challenge. At its core, stress is a signal from the nervous system telling you that something requires attention, effort, or adaptation. When your heart rate rises, your breathing quickens, and your senses sharpen, these are not signs of weakness. They are the body equipping you with the resources to respond. The problem arises only when stress is misunderstood, feared, or allowed to persist without recovery. In truth, stress is a force that can refine you, build resilience, and unlock performance, provided it is managed and channeled correctly. Short bursts of stress sharpen the mind in ways that nothing else can. When you face a difficult task, the release of adrenaline and cortisol elevates your alertness and enhances memory formation. Your body primes itself for movement your attention narrows, and your brain becomes better at problem solving in the moment. Athletes, performers, and leaders often thrive under these conditions, not because they avoid stress, but because they know how to harness it. They use the elevated state to access strength, clarity, and determination that would otherwise remain dormant. Stress in this context becomes the spark that ignites peak performance. On a deeper level, stress is what drives adaptation. Muscles grow only after being stressed through resistance. Skills improve only after the nervous system has been stretched beyond its comfort zone. Mental toughness emerges only after facing uncertainty and pressure repeatedly. In biology, this principle is called hormesis, the idea that a certain dose of stress strengthens the system rather than weakens it. Too little challenge and the system atrophies. Too much unrelenting pressure and it breaks. The art lies in finding the right dose, the right rhythm of stress and recovery, so that growth becomes inevitable. Stress also teaches control. When the body enters a heightened state, you have the opportunity to practice self-regulation. Techniques like controlled breathing, shifting posture, or reframing thoughts allow you to steer the nervous system toward balance, even in moments of chaos. Each time you succeed in calming yourself under stress, you strengthen the pathways of resilience. You prove to yourself that you are not a prisoner of circumstance, but an active participant in how you respond. This sense of agency is one of the greatest gifts stress can provide. It reveals your capacity for mastery. Prolonged, unmanaged stress does erode health and clarity, but that is not the fault of stress itself. It is the result of ignoring the recovery phase. Stress demands cycles, just as effort demands rest. By building deliberate practices of restoration through sleep, movement, connection, and stillness, you transform stress from a destructive weight into a constructive force. It becomes a teacher, a sculptor, a tool that shapes you into someone capable of withstanding more than you ever imagined. Stress is not your enemy. It is your ally in growth, provided you learn to use it wisely. Breath is the bridge because it connects the body and the mind in every moment, whether we are conscious of it or not. Breathing is both automatic and voluntary, a unique process that belongs to both the subconscious and conscious domains. This dual nature makes it the most accessible tool we have to regulate our state, shift our emotions, and influence our performance. Every inhale and exhale sends signals to the nervous system, shaping heart rate, focus, and emotional stability. When the breath is shallow and rapid, the body interprets it as stress. When the breath is slow, deep, and intentional, the body receives the message of safety and calm. Through this simple mechanism, breath becomes the bridge between physiology and psychology. In moments of pressure, the breath reflects the state of the nervous system. Stress naturally shortens the breath, keeping it high in the chest, which triggers a feedback loop of anxiety and tension. By intervening consciously, slowing the inhale, lengthening the exhale, you break that cycle and tell the body to shift into balance. This isn't imagination. It is biology. The vagus nerve, which connects the brain to major organs, responds directly to breathing patterns, altering heart rate variability and signaling the brain to regulate mood. With a single deliberate breath, you hold the power to change your state of mind. Breathing also influences focus and performance. A sharp, deliberate inhale, followed by a forceful exhale, can increase alertness, priming the brain for action. Techniques like cyclic hyperventilation or rapid breathing can temporarily increase adrenaline and sharpen attention, useful when energy or courage is required. In contrast, long, controlled breathing patterns quiet the mind, reduce internal noise, and enhance clarity. By learning to modulate breath according to need, you gain mastery over how you show up in each moment, whether in competition, in creativity, or in stillness. Breath also serves as an anchor for presence. In a world of distractions, the mind often drifts into the past or the future, generating stress or regret. The breath, however, only exists in the present moment. To focus on breathing is to tether awareness back to the now, restoring presence and grounding thought. Many ancient traditions understood this truth intuitively, using breath as the central practice for meditation, prayer, and spiritual alignment. Modern science now confirms what wisdom has always taught. Controlled breathing creates measurable changes in brain activity, lowering stress circuits and enhancing networks linked to attention and calm. Beyond regulation, breath connects us to rhythm. Every cycle of inhale and exhale mirrors the natural cycles of expansion and contraction in life. Effort and release, stress and recovery, challenge and rest. To breathe consciously is to align yourself with these rhythms, teaching the body and mind the art of balance. Breath is not just the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. It is the most immediate pathway to transformation. It bridges biology with awareness, and in that bridge lies the power to reset, refocus, and reclaim mastery of the self. Attention is a currency because it is finite, valuable, and determines what grows in your life. Just like money, you cannot spend attention on everything at once. Where it is invested, things expand. Where it is withdrawn, things diminish. Each day, from the moment you wake up, countless forces compete for your focus. Devices, notifications, conversations, thoughts, and responsibilities. The reality is that attention is not limitless. The brain has a limited capacity for focus, and once it is fragmented or drained, the quality of thought, creativity, and decision-making deteriorates. This makes attention more powerful than time itself, because the way you direct it dictates how time is experienced and what results are created. When attention is scattered, the nervous system follows suit. Constantly switching between tasks exhausts neural circuits, leaving the brain in a state of partial engagement with everything and deep engagement with nothing. The result is frustration, lack of clarity, and shallow productivity. But when attention is directed with precision, the mind reorganizes itself. Focused attention recruits the neural pathways necessary for learning, memory, and mastery. It transforms effort into progress and allows you to enter states of flow where work feels seamless and time bends to your will. In this way, attention acts as the ultimate investment tool. What you attend to consistently shapes the architecture of your brain and the trajectory of your life. Attention also determines emotional experience. When directed toward problems, the nervous system reacts with stress and negativity. When oriented toward solutions, gratitude, or possibilities, it signals safety and opens creativity. Two people may live through the same external event, but their experience will differ based on what they attend to within it. Attention becomes the lens through which reality is filtered. It is not the event itself that holds power, but the allocation of focus. By training attention, you effectively train your perception of reality. Every relationship, every skill, every vision you want to cultivate requires the payment of attention. Just as financial wealth grows with consistent deposits, so too does mastery, resilience, and connection grow when attention is given deliberately over time. Relationships weaken not because of lack of love, but because of lack of attention. Dreams wither not because they are impossible, but because attention is pulled elsewhere. Conversely, when attention is invested consistently into growth, practice, and connection, they flourish into sources of strength and fulfillment. Guarding attention is therefore an act of self-mastery. To spend it mindlessly on distractions is to bankrupt yourself of potential. To direct it intentionally toward your goals, your health, your learning, and your relationships is to accumulate compound interest in the form of wisdom, skill, and purpose. Attention is the currency of transformation. And unlike money, it cannot be earned back once wasted. Every moment offers a choice of where to spend it. And those choices determine not only success, but the very quality of your life. Recovery fuels performance because the body and mind are not built to operate in a constant state of exertion. Every moment of output, whether physical effort, deep concentration, or emotional engagement, draws from limited resources. To sustain high performance, those resources must be replenished. Without recovery, the nervous system frays, energy wanes, and clarity dulls. With recovery, the body restores its strength, the brain rewires for growth, and the mind regains sharpness. Performance then is not simply the result of how hard or long you work, but how effectively you recover in between. Sleep is the most powerful form of recovery, and it is far more than rest. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released to repair tissues, memories are consolidated, and the brain cleanses itself of toxins that accumulate during wakefulness. REM sleep, on the other hand, enhances creativity and emotional regulation. Skipping or shortening these stages does not just make you tired, it leaves the brain and body operating at a deficit, unable to sustain focus or resilience under pressure. A full night of restorative sleep is not indulgence, but a performance-enhancing necessity. Recovery also happens in smaller cycles throughout the day. The human nervous system is designed to oscillate between states of focus and release, energy and rest. after about 90 minutes of concentrated work. Attention naturally declines. Ignoring this rhythm and pushing through leads to diminishing returns. Honoring it by stepping away, breathing deeply, or engaging in a short walk allows the system to reset. These micro recoveries accumulate into greater productivity and sharper focus over time, proving that strategic pauses are as important as effort itself. Physical recovery mirrors the same principle. Muscles grow stronger not during the workout, but during the rest that follows. Ranks. Stressing the body through exercise creates microscopic tears in muscle fibers, and it is in the recovery period that repair takes place, leading to growth. Overtraining without sufficient rest undermines progress, leaving the body weaker and more prone to injury. In contrast, balancing intensity with recovery builds durability, stamina, and greater long-term performance. Even the mind requires intentional recovery. Constant stimulation from work, screens, or noise keeps the nervous system in a state of low-level activation, draining mental reserves. Practices such as meditation, time in nature, or simply moments of silence recalibrate the system. They lower cortisol, increase heart rate variability, and allow the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and focus, to function at its best. The clarity, creativity, and problem-solving abilities that emerge after such recovery are often what separate high achievers from those who burn out. True performance is cyclical. It thrives on the alternation of stress and release, action and rest, effort and renewal. Recovery is not a retreat from progress, but the very condition that makes progress possible. It transforms output from a short-lived burst into a sustainable force. By embracing recovery as fuel, you create a system that can perform at its highest level, not just once, but repeatedly, consistently, and with longevity. Integration leads to mastery because true excellence does not come from isolated practices, but from the weaving together of body, mind, and purpose into one unified system. Mastery is not achieved by focusing on a single dimension while neglecting others. It is not enough to be physically strong while mentally scattered, nor is it enough to be intellectually sharp while physically depleted. Integration is the alignment that allows effort to feel seamless and discipline to transform into freedom. When the body, the nervous system, and the mind work in harmony, actions flow with precision and consistency, creating results that seem almost effortless from the outside. At the biological level, integration is visible in how the nervous system coordinates with the body. Every thought originates in the brain, but is executed through muscles, hormones, and breath. When mental clarity is present, but the body is exhausted, execution fails. When the body is strong, but the mind is unfocused, performance is inconsistent. And it is only when the two are synchronized through consistent rhythms of sleep, movement, nutrition, and recovery that both mind and body can perform at their peak. Integration, therefore, is not about perfection in one area, but the unification of many areas working together to create stability and strength. In skill development, integration reveals itself through the blending of conscious practice with unconscious execution. At first, learning a skill requires deliberate focus. Every movement, every choice feels effortful. But as repetition continues, the nervous system encodes these patterns until they become automatic. The conscious and subconscious integrate, and mastery emerges. This process does not happen through fragmented practice, but through consistent, integrated attention to both fundamentals and flow. The skill is no longer something you do, it becomes part of who you are. Integration also applies to the way you balance effort and stillness. High performance cannot be sustained without cycles of recovery, and recovery cannot be truly restorative without meaningful work to precede it. Mastery comes from knowing how to push into challenge and when to step back into rest. This integration of opposites, stress and calm, focus and release, creates resilience and adaptability. Without this balance, intensity collapses into burnout or relaxation drifts into complacency. With it, life gains rhythm and mastery becomes sustainable. Perhaps the most profound form of integration is the alignment of actions with values and purpose. When what you do daily reflects what you believe deeply, discipline no longer feels like a burden. Effort is no longer forced. It becomes an expression of who you are. This alignment removes inner conflict and frees energy for growth and creativity. Mastery, in this sense, is not just about external achievement, but about internal harmony, living in such integration that your life feels coherent, purposeful, and powerful. Integration transforms scattered effort into unified momentum. It is the force that takes discipline from something heavy and turns it into something liberating. It is the key to mastery because mastery itself is not about control over others or even over tasks. It is about seamless control of the self, achieved only when every part of you is aligned and working as one. Ultimate success is not a matter of chasing harder, working longer, or forcing outcomes. It is the art of aligning body and mind into one powerful system. When physiology supports psychology, when rhythms guide resilience, when stress is used as a tool, when breath becomes the bridge, when attention is spent wisely, when recovery fuels performance, and when integration leads to mastery, you stop fighting against yourself and begin moving with the full force of your design.
Success is no longer an uphill battle. It becomes a natural expression of who you are. The strong message is this: you already carry within you the mechanisms for greatness.
Balance them, honor them, and direct them with intention. Do this, and nothing outside you will ever be stronger than the power moving within you